Hello everyone, and welcome to Mr. This is North America, and the literal icing on the top here is Canada. Now, let's check it out, eh? Canada is the second biggest country in the world by total area. A vast expanse of forest, prairie, mountain, tundra, and subarctic iciness, bridging 3 oceans in a bracing chorus of 50,000 islands and 30,000 lakes. And yes, it's all very scenic, so let's just stop before the other countries get jealous. This gargantuan resource-rich mass of Earth was settled first by Paleolithic tribes crossing over from Siberia, hunting musk oxen, mastodons, and mammoths. These indigenous peoples, for millennia, survived as hunter-gatherers in places like this, killing their prey with stone tools in the bitter cold. Over time, many tribes established settlements and moved on to agriculture and pastoralism, subscribing to an animist religion overseen by shamans and expressed in ceremony. War between clans occurred, and slavery was practiced, most commonly in the Pacific West. The first Europeans arrived around the year 1000, Vikings, who settled for some time in Newfoundland, and then went away. In 1497, John Cabot explored the Labrador coast in a fruitless search for a northwest passage to Asia. Since the waters were so abundant with fish, Europeans began angling en masse here, but for decades none of them were really interested in settling. In the 1530s, French explorer Jacques Cartier navigated the St. Lawrence River and gave the land its name, Canada, after the Iroquois word for village. But domestic troubles stymied any efforts to French colonization, and it wasn't until 1605 that Samuel de Champlain established the first settlement at Port Royal, Nova Scotia. He later founded Quebec. Soon, a lucrative trade in pelts, animal furs, was set up with rival native tribes siding with rival European states for land, money, power, the usual. The King of France's advisor, Cardinal Richelieu, pushed for further French colonization, and settlers poured in along with Jesuit missionaries. Meanwhile, Mr. Henry Hudson had claimed this region for England, and no, Britain was not content with just that, and got a whole lot more after beating the French in the 7 Years' War. While Britain attained mastery over Canada, its American colonies revolted and gained independence. But the revolution did not ignite the North, so Canada remained a possession of the Crown, and indeed Canadians proved loyal British subjects, fighting America in the War of 1812, which ended in stalemate, but left Canada intact and unconquered. After introducing a number of crucial political reforms in the mid-19th century, Canada could focus on expansion. Railways were built, industries ripened, cities grew, and Canada extended its territory, not without resistance. Confederation in 1867 saw John Alexander Macdonald become first Prime Minister. The Wild West was tamed, complications arose and still persist from the passage of the Indian Act, and the miseries heaped upon the First Nations with the residential school system debacle. The Klondike Gold Rush arose, and 600,000 Canadians fought for Britain in the First World War, where they distinguished themselves. The blossoming economy suffered terribly from the Great Depression, which no amount of tariffs could ameliorate. But stability and better times returned under Mackenzie King. Relations with the US improved, and Canada rallied to the Allied cause in World War II, not only sending Britain troops, but also steady shipments of badly needed food and supplies. Aside from its massive contributions, the war left Canada highly industrialized and ready for the future. Canada's prosperity grew further in the following decades. Immigration was encouraged, with many arrivals from southern Europe, altering the traditional English-French norm of the nation. The popular Pierre Trudeau introduced a policy of official multiculturalism in 1971, opening Canada up to millions of immigrants from all over the world. Canada gained full sovereignty from the UK in 1982. Meanwhile, separatists in Quebec were calling for independence. Their referendum would be narrowly defeated in 1995. Canada has been an active participant in many UN peacekeeping missions and refused to join the US invasion of Iraq. Canada today is among the richest countries in the world and ranks among the highest in quality of life, and millions of tourists travel to it every year, visiting cities like Vancouver, Winnipeg, Montreal, and Toronto, and visually supping on the impossibly attractive natural wonders found all over the country. I personally wouldn't mind stopping by that serene slice of heaven, Prince Edward Island, immortalized by Lucy Maud Montgomery in her Stories of Anne of Green Gables. So that's the super quick history of Canada thus far. A blessed land that has given us a lot in science, literature, sport, cinema, music, and most importantly provides our pancakes with pristine maple syrup. Not bad for a country whose national symbols are a leaf and a beaver. But what awaits Canada as it strides on into tomorrow? Comment below, but for now, bye-bye!
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's Canada You Can Go webinar. I don't know if anybody was with us yesterday. If you were, welcome back. If you're new, Welcome to Brazolot Migration's Canada You Can Go webinar. I can see we've got people from all around the world joining us today. Let me see, we've got Venezuela, Trinidad, Saudi Arabia. So just type in where you're joining us from today. It's really great to see people from all around the world with us. And I can see somebody was with us yesterday. So welcome back. I hope you'll find today interesting. So I'm in the UK as well. So good morning to people in the UK. Remember to talk slowly. Yes, I will try and remember to talk slowly. I got told off yesterday for talking too quickly. So if I do go too quickly today, just give me a little reminder and I will slow down. So yes, it does look like we've got people from everywhere. So thank you for joining us. So my name's Helen, and I'm the Visa Processing Manager here at Brazolot Migration Group. I've been working in immigration for over 20 years now, helping people relocate to Canada. We've worked with all different types of visa categories to help people move over. And despite my accent, I am Canadian as well. So I came out to Canada on a temporary work permit, which we're going to be talking about today, then got my permanent residency status, and then got my Canadian citizenship. So I've got dual nationality. And I've been working at Brazolot Migration Group since 2006. So I am licensed with the College of Immigration and Citizenship Consultants, CICC. And it is really important that if you are getting advice or you're using somebody to represent you with your immigration application, please make sure that the person who's representing you or giving you advice is regulated with CICC or is a Canadian lawyer. They're there to protect you, the consumer, and ourselves. So I don't know if anybody's visited Canada before. Canada is the second largest country in the world. Our head office is based in Quebec, which on this map is the large green province on the right-hand side of the map. And we're probably about 6 hours from Toronto, maybe near Montreal. So if you just want to type in the chat box whether you've visited Canada or whether you have family in Canada, that'd be really interesting to know. So Hyacinth has visited many times. Janelle. Yeah, so a lot of people have already visited, which is great. I moved out to Canada. I had never visited, but I did a little bit of research and thought that Canada looks nice. And I made the move having not visited. So it's not unusual for people to relocate to another country without having visited before. However, if you have visited, obviously it gives you a little bit of a better idea of what to expect. So another question for everyone today is, why are you thinking of emigrating? What are your reasons for thinking about moving to a new country? People have lots of different reasons. Might be that you've got family there, better life for your family, better life for your children, yet family members in Canada, the quality of life in Canada. So a lot of these reasons are all coming up with the same, for better life for yourself and for your children. Now, we've been doing lots of webinars over the last 25 years, a long time we've been doing these sorts of webinars. And we always ask people, why are they thinking of moving overseas? And you can see everybody's answers there that have been coming up: employment opportunities, quality of life, go to rejoin family. We've asked these questions over the years, and as you can see, we always get the same sort of answers. It's always about lifestyle. It's about opportunities, employment, better opportunities for the children, education. People are looking for the same sort of reasons as yourselves as to moving to Canada. So what we're going to do today in our webinar is look at some of the visa programs available to give you some idea of what opportunities there might be for you to move to Canada. So we're looking at the economic categories, temporary classes. We did study permits yesterday, so if you missed that, I'm sorry. Today we're looking at work permits, business programs, We looked at family opportunities yesterday and provincial nominees. So today we're going to concentrate really on the work permits and the economic programs of immigration. We do use a lot of abbreviations and jargon in immigration. Now, we use these terms every day. So we might say something without even thinking that somebody not familiar with immigration might not understand what we're referring to. These are the most common terms that you'll hear us refer to. But if we do say something today and you're not quite sure what we are referring to, please just put in the chat and let us know. The most important one, I guess, is IRCC, which is Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada. That is the government department that is going to process your immigration application. CELPIP and IELTS are the English language tests. Most people now are required to do an English language test. CPR, you might hear us refer to that, Canadian Permanent Residency. I can see somebody's asking about CLB. That's a Canadian level benchmark. That is a standard of English. It's how they measure your English language scores. And you'll hear us talk about the NOC today, the National Occupational Classification. You'll hear us talk about that when talking about employment in Canada or applying for permanent residency status. So today we are going to be looking at these various programs. We are going to be looking at the Skilled Worker Program. This is a program lots of people will be familiar with. It's a points-based program and is a program that most people qualifying for permanent residency status will be applying under. In addition, there's a skilled trades program. So specifically for people who are working in a skilled trade, they might not necessarily have the academic qualifications to qualify as a skilled worker. So there's a skilled trades category available. There's a Canadian experience class. So for people who've got some Canadian work experience, there's a permanent residency category specifically for those people. And we're going to be looking at the temporary classes and the work permits today as well, which I know is usually really popular and something that lots of people have got lots of questions about. We're also going to look at business programs. It might be something that you might not have considered before, but it could be a great way of coming into Canada. If you're interested in setting up your own business in Canada, there could be opportunities to come in through that. So Brazolot Migration Group, who are we? Well, we've been in business since, Dennis will correct me, I think, in a while, but since about 2003, I think. Dennis is who will introduce you to shortly. He's been working in immigration for much longer than I have, because he's much older. Brazolot Migration Group here, we help people go through the immigration process from start to finish. We help with the visas, but also the relocation side as well to help you get settled in Canada. As I said, I'm one of the managers here at Brazolot Migration. We'll introduce you to Donna Vellucci later on, our careers and relocation manager, and Amanda Morgan, our office manager, is also with us this morning, helping on the administration. But we've also got a team of staff working with us who help us work on your applications, whether that's on the visa applications or on the relocation side. Our team are there, many years experience now, to help you through this process from start to finish. And as I say, we can help clients all the way from the starting point of today, right up until you get your Canadian citizenship. So as part of our process, we do help with relocation. Our relocation team help with the more practical matters of your move to Canada. So once you're getting ready to move to Canada, they can assist you with all the practical information about how you're going to register for your healthcare, how you getting your driving licenses, opening your bank accounts, bringing your goods into Canada. All those sorts of aspects which you may not have considered, our relocation team are going to give you specific advice about that. We can also assist with employment as well, where our in-house careers team is going to be able to give you some advice and assist you with a job search program, create Canadian-style CVs for you, give information about licensing. A lot of jobs in Canada do require licensing, and we'll help you through all those assessments. But the biggest department in the company, and probably the most important, is the visa side, because without the visa, nothing else really matters. So as I say, I'm in charge of the visa department, and we assist people with skilled worker applications, family applications, business and temporary applications. Really the only visa categories that we don't deal with are the refugee categories. But all the other visa categories we've got experience in, and we help our clients through those programs. So we do work with you as your partner in migration. We work as a team to help you through the process, and we can work with our clients for quite a number of years as we go through that process, especially if you come out on a temporary visa first, and then you have to apply for permanent residency and then your citizenship at a later date. So it can be quite a number of years that we do work with you. And it's really essential now that your application is correct first time. Most applications now are submitted online, and if a document is missing, the application can be rejected straight away. Or even worse, your application could go into a processing queue. It could be there for many, many, many months, and then they might reject the application once somebody's looked at it and decided something's missing. So it's really important that when you do submit your application, that everything is there and correct, to make sure that that application will get processed. So preparation is key and critical. You will hear us refer to this a lot today, but it really is important. It's all about preparing your application, making sure that all the information and the documentation is correct when it's submitted, so that there's not going to be any surprises further down the line. You will also hear us refer to today the confidential evaluation worksheet. I know you've all got lots of questions. This worksheet allows us to do an assessment and look at the visa options for you and your family. If you click the button there on the green bar, you'll see it in red, it says click here. That will take you directly to our evaluation worksheet. It's a 4-page form which asks about your education, your work experience, your financial status, all the things that we need to know in order to look at the visa categories which might be available to you. So if you click there, you can download the form. And the form is discounted if you get the form back to us by Tuesday. The price is usually $117 for the assessment and a private consultation. But because you're attending the webinar today, the discount is it's only $40. But you must get that form back to us by Tuesday, so then we can do your assessments and then arrange the follow-up consultations for you. Once we've done the assessment, you will get a report from us explaining which visa categories you may qualify for. And you'll get a chart like this, which shows the points category for the skilled worker program, which, as I say, is the program which most people applying for permanent residency will go through. So the assessment report will explain to you what options you've got available. However, for further information, we then have the follow-up consultation. If you've clicked on the button, you can make your payment through PayPal or through the website there, or you can email my colleague Jennifer, j.kelly@brazolotgroup.com, and she will be able to email a form to you if you want to fill that in, if you're not able to fill that in online. Okay, so yesterday, if you were with us, I know some of you were, so thanks for joining us. So yesterday we looked at an overview of all programs, family categories, provincial nominations and study permits. And today what we're looking at is how to get a job, work permits, express entry, skilled worker, and starting a business in Canada. So really important subjects that we're looking at today. Today is one of our short webinars, but we have got an online expo on September the 11th, which we'll get into the topics in a little bit more detail. You can register for free through our website, and we'd love to have you join us there. For our clients as well, we also host private client webinars. So if you do become a client of ours, on the last Monday of every month, we have a private client webinar just for our clients, so that we can get together and have a chat about all the latest immigration news that might have come out, have a chat about processing times, any quirks in applications that we found over the last few weeks. So those are really useful, and our clients really seem to enjoy the private webinars that we do have. However, let's get started. I'm sure you've heard enough from me today. So let's get into the visa categories then about coming to Canada. So now I'm going to introduce you to my colleague and boss, Dennis Brazolot. Hello, Dennis.
Good morning, Helen. You can hear me and see me?
I can hear you and see you perfectly. Thank you.
So I rewatched yesterday's webinar on YouTube, and when you said I was here, you were,
I was.
but not on my screen.
Oh,
So
I kept thinking, why is he ignoring me? Why is
it was about a 4-second delay.
Yeah.
So interesting how that works. Yeah, I noticed that you like to skip some slides this morning.
I know, I did. Yeah.
So here's what happened. I had a very late night. Ask me why.
Why were you up late, Dennis?
Canada won gold, the World Junior Ice Hockey Championship. It was, for anybody out there who watched it, it was a fantastic final against Finland. It went into overtime. 3 minutes into overtime, the Canadian goalie was down. The Finnish player fired the puck at the net. It hit the crossbar, came down on the line. The Canadian offensive player scooped it out. They went down to the end and scored. It was an exciting final. So this was the reason it was in the summer is because last year in Edmonton, half the teams got COVID in the middle of the tournament, so they canceled the tournament right in the middle of it. And they said they'll finish it off in the summer. And then the next tournament is going to be in New Brunswick and Halifax this December, traditional on Boxing Day. And I know that Donna and her family will be rushing down there because it's in a lot of the games will be in Halifax. And Donna's sitting there listening, going, I'm not going to an ice hockey game. So thanks, Helen. And you're going to come back and join us a little bit later, are you?
I will be back in a short while, yes.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're coming from. I've seen people say where they're coming from. And again, we've got a multicultural webinar today. And for those that ask questions, and we get emails over the next couple of days saying, I missed it or I want to repeat it, you can always request a copy of the slides. We will send those out tomorrow. And you can also watch this complete webinar yesterday and today on the YouTube channel that we have. So subscribe to that and give us a like and give us a 5-star rating on Google and Facebook if you do like our webinars today, because it does help people in the future. So as Helen mentioned, my name is Dennis Brazolot. I am the owner of Brazolot Migration Group, and I've been practicing immigration now for over 27 years. I, like Helen, am a regulated Canadian immigration consultant with CICC, and I have been here helping people from all over the world for a long time, and I really do enjoy my job, even though I just went, because you got to remember, we started at 5:30 this morning, which is not our normal time coming here. So my origins are Italian. My grandparents immigrated from Italy many, many years ago, and the way they had immigrated makes me an Italian citizen today, and it makes me a Canadian citizen being born here. Now, you'll notice we've had flags on people's different names with the staff. That's because these staff have 2 passports or 3 passports or more passports. I happen to have 2 because my grandparents came from Italy, which is the reason why I was eligible to work in the United Kingdom in immigration back in 1995 to 2003 is when I came home. I lived 2 years in the Netherlands. I've lived in the United States representing Canada at Walt Disney World. So I have moved around the world myself. So with my grandfather coming to Italy, I was fortunate enough to be out to Nova Scotia last week, and I got to the Immigrant Museum. And lo and behold, I've got my grandfather's papers when he immigrated to Canada in 1923. At the age of 22 years old, these papers are going to be 100 years old next year. He came on the SS Julio Cesare, or the Julius Caesar. It was a very famous migrant ship. And you can see some highlighted sections. Number 6, object of coming to Canada was to establish oneself. Money in his pocket upon arrival was $25. So there was monetary questions 100 years ago. And when you get down to number 27, does he have tuberculosis? No. Were there any physical defects? No. Little harsh way of medical questions. But 100 years later, and this hasn't changed all that much. So that's my grandfather, or my father's father. Now, my mother's mother immigrated up from the United States. And she came up, and all she had to do was register with the police department. And this is her immigration papers 5 years earlier than my grandfather in 1918. So I am tied to immigration a lot because, well, everybody in Canada except for our First Peoples are immigrants. Now, I'm Italian Canadian. I have 2 passports, and I married Debbie, and Debbie was born British, and her family immigrated to New Zealand when she was 2 years old, and Debbie was raised in New Zealand, and she has 2 passports, a British passport and a New Zealand passport. She now has a Canadian passport. These are two boys, Massimiliano and Alessandro, that have all 4 passports. They are Italian, they are Canadian, they are British, and they are New Zealand citizens. Lucky guys, they can live and work pretty much anywhere they want for the rest of their lives. I've always liked this photo. I've used it for years. The boys have asked me, can you update this photo? We're not little babies anymore, and they aren't. Max is 22 years old and Alex is 17 years old. This is us tearing down their tree fort during COVID, now that they're grown out of it and they no longer use it. So, as you can hear from my accent, I am Canadian, born and raised near Toronto. I come from a family of 9 children. I'm the second youngest, and my family happens to be the oldest home building firm in Canada. So I'm connected with trades and have helped tradespeople coast to coast. I've also been instrumental in inventing truck drivers program and police officer programs coming to Canada, but we do work in all categories with the exception of refugee and humanitarian grounds. We do have colleagues, and I'll put a link in if this is something of interest to you, but our company doesn't deal with the refugee category. 10 provinces, 3 territories. Where you want to go is going to be up to you. But if you are going to require a job, you may need to go someplace else to get your foothold into Canada. From there, you can move on to different locations after that. Before we get into our business categories, just a couple of questions is make sure you're asking your questions now in the chat room, and because that way we will be going through the Q&A later. It just saves last minute because when we say the questions are cut off, they're cut off. So if you get your questions in now, Amanda will do the moderating and highlight the appropriate questions. And questions for everybody here. Is this your first webinar with us? Is it your second? Is it your third? And do we have any clients watching right now? Type in the chat room right now. Is it your first, second, third? Put it all out there. So Paul, you need to highlight the question. Second, third, first. So yes, you might get some of the same jokes, but hopefully you're going to be informed of what you can and can't do. So my section I'm going to walk you through right now is starting or buying a business in Canada. I think we had a question right off the bat today. With the business program, you are eligible to do anything you want, anywhere you see on that map, with the exception of the province of Quebec. You can come here, but you will need a very strong level of French in order to do the business program in Quebec. So what businesses to start? You can get involved in a franchise, new startup, partnerships, existing businesses. It's very open to what you want to do. And your nationality can also determine what type of programs you're going to do. So when Helen talked before about where your partner migration, where your partner in business migration, and I head up this unit group because this goes into a lot more detail. Okay, we're going to have to go, it's a more intensive application, but can be a faster application. Your business migration, your visa application, Helen team still takes care of that part. Your relocation services, the market research, writing your business plan. This is all part and parcel of what we're doing with you and for you. And when it comes down to your fact find trip and your market research or resettlement, this is second to none. Okay. We do help our business clients a little bit differently because it's more intensive, but it's a faster way of getting here. Why would you do business in Canada? Well, we have some of the best business tax rates going in the world. Very, very low because the Canadian economy is built up of small business, medium-sized business. So the banks are favorable to this. This is what drives the Canadian economy. Places like, for example, the United Kingdom, 80% of the economy is built on big business. So the banks aren't conducive to the little person. What are we looking at when it talks about money? Well, we're looking at around 250,000 Canadian dollars. This is not set in stone, but this is to give you an idea. So you can see an appropriate exchange rate on the right-hand side. You need about 160,000 pounds. You need about 180,000 euro, 28 million Jamaican. You need 1.2 or 1.3 million TT dollars. So you have a good idea there of the type of money you're looking at needing to invest in order to come here. So the investment or the spend, whatever you want to call it, it's made up of all sorts of different avenues. My fees, flights to Canada, moving, shipping your belongings, renovations to building, lawyers, accountants, tax cards, new company car, everything that's going to take to get this business off the ground is what your 250,000 is supposed to be spent on. So this is money placed at risk. It's not buying a building that you're going to have your business in. That's a safe asset. So that's not calculated as an investment at risk. But do we have you spend 250,000 right up front? No, there's tactical ways of how you're placing this in order to get the visa facilitated for you. So first thing we look at is your net worth. Depending on how much you have in your net worth will also determine the types of programs you can and can't do. So if everybody wants to help me here, I believe my pointer is working. Can everybody see my pointer on the screen? Yes. I think my name appears at the end. Thank you. Amanda's not the one I want to hear. She's a moderate. Okay. Thank you. So if you have zero money, you can still do a federal startup visa, an owner operator visa, an intercompany transfer visa. You need $300,000 in net worth. This isn't your spend yet, everybody. You can do a farming program in Saskatchewan, Quebec Entrepreneur, Yukon, Northwest Territories. Having $500,000, you can do Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba farming, Yukon, Northwest Territories. $600,000 you need if you want to do British Columbia, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island. $800,000 for Ontario Entrepreneur. 1 to 1.5 million for a different Ontario Entrepreneur. 2 million plus for Ontario Corporate and Quebec Investor. So this is your net worth. So if you were to pass away today, knock on wood, this isn't going to happen, what would your family receive? Okay, so once your house is sold, cars, stocks, bonds, cash, everything, that is your net worth. What is your combined assets? So that determines first what you can and can't do. Next is your spend or your investment. What do you have to spend in order to facilitate your type of business visa? So you don't have to spend any money if you're coming on an intercompany executive manager. So how does this work? Well, if you are the CEO or a director level of Shell in Trinidad and you want to immigrate to Canada and you're going to be sent to Shell Canada, it is a business visa. Remember, you don't have to show any net worth, intercompany transfer, and you don't have to spend any money because you're being transferred. So that's a business visa, and that's included in the charts. Spending $100,000, you can do a federal startup visa or a Quebec Entrepreneur. Remember, with the federal startup visas, you still don't have to prove that you have any money, but you are required to spend at least $100,000. With that, you will own about 30% of your new corporation, and the angel investors, the business incubators, they will own 70% because they have to approve this first. You need to spend $150,000 if you want to do a Saskatchewan Young Farmers, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, another farming program, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, Northwest Territories. $200,000 spend for British Columbia, that's outside of Vancouver, Saskatchewan, or a federal startup visa. Same as here. Here you spend less, here you spend more. So here you own 70% of the company. $250,000 spend can do that owner operator labor market impact assessment. Remember, you don't need to prove any money to do this owner operator labor market impact assessment, but you need to be spending around $250,000. 5 employees, $250,000. The more spend, the less employees you need. The more employees, the less of the spend that you need. And we'll talk about that further later. Manitoba, New Brunswick, you need to make a $250,000 spend. $300,000 is Saskatchewan, Yukon, Saskatchewan, Manitoba farming, and Northwest Territories. $400,000 to $500,000 is British Columbia, Alberta, Ontario Entrepreneur. BC, that would be Vancouver, is you could do that $500,000. $1 to $10 million spend is Ontario Corporate, Ontario Quebec Investor, and Ontario Entrepreneur, another program there. So I've got to get this marker off. So these are all provincial programs with the exception of federal startup, owner operator, and intercompany transfer. Provincial programs called PNP. And this is what we talked about yesterday. If you look at a PNP application, these will take 3 to 5 years to get your permanent visa. If we do the owner operator labor market impact assessment, you'll see your permanent visa in about 6 to 9 months. Okay, plain and simple. It's that fast because you're getting 200 extra points in the express entry system. We talked about it before. Your preparation is key and critical. You've got to have this prepared. You don't have 2 shots at this. You're going to have to do this properly the first time. And this is what we're here to help you with. Your application's got to be perfected. Your new business, when we look at this, what do you have to do? Can you own a pharmacy if you're not a pharmacist? Okay. What's the licensing? What's the mandatory? Can you do this without being a pharmacist? Can you own an electrical shop if you're not an electrician? So this is important to go through to find out that you can do these types of things. Plain and simple. So I'm trying to get the new link in. I forgot to put it in. So your experience. What is your background? Are you self-employed already? Are you a business owner? Are you a manager? Are you executive? Are you a supervisor? You don't have to have owned your own business in order to be able to do this, but you have to show the capacity that you're going to have the visa officer understand you are capable. You could be a professional, a registered nurse, an accountant, a lawyer. You've never owned a business before, but because you're in a professional capacity, you're eligible to do this. So what you're doing is you're creating your own work permit. You're creating a labor market impact assessment, which you've got to pay $1,000 for, to show the job that you're providing to yourself is positive or neutral to that local labor market. You've got to advertise your own job for other people to go for it. But what's nice is you can advertise your job and say that they have to make the same investment that you did. So you've got to show that you've been doing competition, that you're opening up for other people. So we'll give you 2 examples today, 2 different case studies of live people. Bob came from the United Kingdom, and Bob had never owned a business before, but he had been a restaurant manager. He was 43 years old. He had a degree. His English language level after his test was shown to be fluent, 10 years experience, and under his express entry, he had 320 points. Well, we found Bob a diner in Canada where mom and dad had started the diner, had it all their lives, and now the kids have grown up and the kids wanted nothing to do with the diner. Well, this is right up Bob's alley. So he bought 51% because you have to have controlling interest with an agreement to buy the rest later. So he put 169,000 pounds in. He received his work permit in 2.5 weeks. He could sell the business at any time, but his points went up by 200 more to 520. The pass mark was 469 at the time. Today, the pass mark is in the very high 400s, low 500s. So this was an excellent way for Bob. 1 year later, he bought the balance of the business. Mom and dad retired. Bob's happy, and it worked out. Mary is coming from Africa, and English language was very good. Her husband didn't speak any English, and she was an HR manager. Now, the husband did own his own business in the country, but with the English and his education, it didn't work out. But Mary did have a bachelor's degree in HR. She worked in a manufacturing firm. So their total assets were 800,000. We sent her the information about different business opportunities. We organized her fact-finding trip, her visitor visa to come over. She came over and she bought into a daycare business. She didn't buy all of it, but she bought 60% with 5 employees that had for 300,000 Canadian dollars. Now, the offer was made that the $300,000 would be transferred the day Mary gets her work permit. So the commitment was made, but it doesn't happen until the work permit's been issued. So the offer was accepted. It was closed. She goes back to Africa, and then we applied for her labor market impact assessment. We got that in 3 weeks. The work permit took a couple of months, and when they came over, she immediately got the extra 200 points. And on the work permit, husband got to work right away if he wanted to. Children got their study permits. The medicals were approved after 90 days, and they're happy. So 2 different kind of examples of what happens. We've got more, and we'll go through that with you on a one-to-one basis. Preparation is key and critical. We become your partner in your visa application, your business migration, the business plan, your market and business research, the consulting services, fact-finding trips, organizing everything. That's what partners are for, to help in every possible way. So sky's blue. Anywhere you see on that map, if you're strong French language skills, then you can do it in Quebec. If not, we're looking at everywhere else. By the way, we had some French speakers yesterday, and they just reminded me, I believe there's a button by the gear that all the chat, you can have it translated into your own language as it's being typed. Interesting little feature that we have in this, but we've never used it, and we could have used it yesterday. Or someone asked in Arabic. So you can have your questions translated right there and then. For those that are interested in the business program, we do sponsor a book called Doing Business in Canada. You can send an email to info@brazolotgroup.com. We're happy to send you out a complimentary copy of this. It's a hard book, so it's not emailable. But we need obviously your full postal address to make sure we get it right. And we're happy to send that out to you. What I was organizing before is your business supplement. For those that have clicked on the assessment form, now you need to click on the supplement. And it's a little bit of extra information there that we need to know about your business background and skills and what you want to do. So this one you will download. This one you can't type. You have to hand fill this one in. But please get this back to us if you're interested in a business program or looking at those types of opportunities. Where you want to go is completely up to you. As I said, okay, there's nothing stopping you from going where you want to go from day one. And it's a fast visa to get. Click on the business supplement. We've got about 30 seconds left on this. And that business link will leave. It does come back a little bit later, but You can go. You can do this. It's completely up to you. That link is going to be gone in 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3. I know everybody can count, right? So the link is expired now. So that's the business section. Hopefully it's giving you a little bit of a taste. It does open up the doors for an awful lot of people. But what some people are here waiting for today is to talk about how you find a job in Canada and on the work permits. And I will introduce my colleague, Donna, if she's coming in live from Eastern Canada. Come in, Donna. Good morning, Donna.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly. How are you?
Okay, good. So first time with this laptop, so I was just making sure everybody can hear me.
That's right. Using your own laptop this time. You're not stealing everybody else's.
No, exactly. So yes, I'm good. Obviously, it's still quite early, but it's earlier for you. But yes, still waking up here in Nova Scotia.
Yesterday, I was doing some different research and something popped up about Canadian firsts, like what we're number one in the world on. And what I didn't realize was we are number one in ice wine production. As a matter of fact, all the other ice wine countries combined still don't make up the amount of ice wine Canada produces. So I thought that was interesting. But the other one that came up was Canada is number one. We have the longest border with one country in the world. And someone said, aren't you tied? And I started to look at the map going, no, Russia's not bigger. Russia's got broken up a different country. And it didn't even dawn on me. Yes, United States is the other country that has the longest border with us.
Okay.
Donna, I'll let you go and I'll come back a little bit later.
Okay, thanks very much. Okay, so let's just make sure everyone can hear and see me. Okay, so welcome everybody this morning to a nice bright sunny day here in Nova Scotia. I am Donna Vellucci and I am the Careers and Relocation Manager at Brazolot Migration Group. And I have been assisting job seekers and Canadian employers find positions and find workers for the last 17 years. Now, I've got to make sure with this laptop, I change the slides. There we go. Okay, so that should have been the slide about myself, but here we go. Okay, so I moved to Canada in 2003 from the UK, you should probably guess from the accent. And since that time, I have lived in 4 different provinces. So I've lived in Manitoba, is the pinkish one on the map there, Quebec, the big green one, Ontario, the big yellow goldy one, and now I'm here in Nova Scotia. So I'm very familiar with living and working in many different provinces. So, okay, so I know you've heard already, because I have been listening today, that preparation is key and it is essential for your employment file as well as your immigration file. So you do need to take the time to get ready. You can't just rush in and start right away. Getting ready is very, very important. Now, this morning, I am going to share with you some key job searching steps that will ensure you are ready to begin your employment search. So what should your preparations include? Well, first, you do need to do some research and then put together an employment file. And when preparing your employment file, you will need to know your occupation code. Every occupation in Canada has a code that describes the role, employment requirements, as well as the duties. Knowing yours is very important for both your immigration and employment file. And within the occupation codes are example job titles, which may differ from the ones that you're currently using in your home country. So make sure you are using the correct job title when searching for positions, okay? Because you may have a slightly different job title in your home country. And most jobs are searched based on an actual job title. All right, so once your initial research is done, you can move forward with preparing to apply. And a good place to start is knowing where the opportunities are advertised. And to do this, you need to identify the most appropriate job boards for your occupation. Now, there are many job boards available online, which you may be familiar with, like Workopolis, Monster, Indeed, etc. In addition, there are lots of other job boards that are specific to Canada, which you may not be familiar with. So identifying a list of national, local, and industry-specific job boards is very important first step in your search. So do take the time to research those first of all. Once you've identified the best job boards for your search, create accounts and set up a profile if this is an option, because it will save you some time in the long run. Okay, so there are apps for everything now, and I don't think a day goes by when we're not using some type of app. So it's no different for your job search. Apps can be used and should be used in order to organize your job search and help save some valuable time. So I've put a few of the job searching apps on the screen here for you if you're not familiar with them. Some of the apps will also allow you to create a CV or a resume, as you may know it, and match you with open jobs. And then you can apply directly from the app. Okay, you need to spend a little bit of time getting used to the app and seeing what's available on there. And Canada's Job Bank, it's our national job board, has an app. So if you've not downloaded that one, I do recommend that you do so. All right, so keeping your job search focused, it is very tempting to apply for every position posted, which may or may not match your skill set. Okay, you may think, well, I can do that, I can do this, I can do the other, but applying for every job won't land you with success. It's really important to keep your search focused. You need to take a look at your work history, and I recommend during the last 5 years that you note down the skills you've obtained, keywords, duties, job titles, anything that's relevant to any of the positions that you've held during that time, so that you can start conducting your search and remain focused. With Canada being such a large country, it is a good idea to focus your job search on a specific area or region as well. So make sure before you do that you've chosen a region that has a demand for your skill set. There are some jobs, there'll be a demand across the country. If you're in healthcare, a nurse, etc., doctor, then there's going to be a demand across the country. But if you're in a specific occupation, if you're in aerospace, for example, then you're going to need to look at very specific provinces. You need to make sure that you do that before you begin. You don't want to waste time searching for positions that aren't there or are very limited. I do also recommend that you research and create a list of companies of interest, because not all companies will list available positions on online job boards. If you limit your search to only applying to positions on the job boards, you may lose out on an opportunity. Okay, so start researching companies within your industry and the region where you wish to relocate to, and start creating that list of companies to contact. Some of the companies will be advertising on their own websites and maybe not on a job board, so you'll be able to find positions to apply for from their website. If there's not a position advertised on their website, then I recommend that you submit a speculative application, because this may get your foot in the door and be an introduction to the company. Also, building a professional brand and network is important, particularly for professional occupations, but I do recommend it for all job seekers. You should at the very least create a profile on LinkedIn. If you've not got a LinkedIn profile, then I do recommend that you set one up. But you can also use Facebook and other networking sites as well. When you create your profile, for example, on LinkedIn, make sure that the profile is exactly the same as your CV and resume. It doesn't have any conflicting information on it, so your employment history, your education, etc., matches on the profile as it does on your paper CV. Okay, so if you've already have social media accounts, I'm sure many of you will have things like Facebook, etc. Do make sure that you review them and tidy them up before you begin your employment search. Potential employers will scan your social media, and you want to make sure that you create the right impression. So remove anything that's not appropriate for when you're looking for a position. Don't delete the profile completely, because that can be seen as a negative. So do keep your profile, but make sure that you just tidy it up. Once you have created your profiles on the social media sites, don't stop there. Start connecting with companies, professional associations, and people you know who may be resourceful during your employment search. Okay, so making a match. As I mentioned before, you need to focus your job search. So before rushing into applying for every position, take the time to match the requirements for the position with your skill set. If you do not match the requirements, consider whether it's worth your time applying and the time of the person reviewing each application. If you meet 80% of the listed requirements, it's worth submitting an application. Do remember, I get asked this question a lot, that if there's one or two things that you don't meet, then still move forward with an application, because an employer will list their most ideal applicant. Okay, so they're always going to put the best right there. So if you've got a few things missing, then maybe you don't have a degree, but you have a diploma in the subject. So do go ahead and apply. Okay, so when making your application, submit the job application using the method noted on the job posting. So if it says apply online or apply by email, do make sure that you follow those instructions. If you don't follow some simple instructions, you may not be considered further. Remember to note the requisition of the job number and job title clearly in the subject line of your email, unless it specifies another instruction. Do not submit an application without your cover letter and your CV stroke resume, unless the online process does not allow you to upload them. Some applications online, you've got to fill out a questionnaire and you can't attach any documents, so you won't be able to do them, upload your details then. Creating a Canadian CV in line with employer expectations is invaluable. Make sure you know what to include and what to leave off of your CV. That's really important. CVs from around the world are very, very different. I've looked at hundreds, maybe thousands of CVs, and lots of them are very different to how we have them here in Canada. So make sure that you get that right. First of all, it's the first impression. You want them to read your CV and want to find out more about you. When you apply, keep a note of the details and the date of submission. And if you can, follow up with the company. That is becoming more and more difficult, but if it's possible, if it's a smaller company, you may be able to get the direct contact details of the hiring person. So you are going to be really fortunate if your first round of applications result in success. If it does, then brilliant. But it's most likely going to take you quite a few applications, maybe a number of weeks or even months before you receive interest. And therefore, don't sit around waiting for responses. Continue on with your search. It can also take employers many weeks to get back to applicants as well, due to time constraints, the number of applications received, especially from out of Canada applicants. So do keep that in mind. Canada does have over 100,000 jobs, and so 100,000, and that's been higher than that in recent times on the job bank, but this figure is not really a true representation of the number of jobs available. It is suggested that it's to be 10 times this amount. So based on the high number of positions available and our experience, there are no shortage of jobs here in Canada, just simply a shortage of workers. So once you have secured that employment, the next step will be to apply for a work permit or permanent resident visa, if that's what you're moving forward with. But now Dennis is going to come back and talk to you about applying for a work permit.
Donna?
Yes, I can.
How many times have you had an employer say, I need someone desperate, and it's taken them 5 weeks to get back to the person that applied?
I can't count how many times that happens. They need someone desperately, but they're so slow with everything because of whatever's going on in their workplace. Yes, all the time.
Well done, Paul. Yes, I did get changed. I don't know why you highlighted that as a question. Donna, there's lots of employment questions, so you're going to be coming back to join us in the Q&A shortly.
Yep, I'll be back at the end.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you're just joining us, my name is Dennis Brazolot. I'm the owner of the company. But in this section, what's important to you is I'm also a licensed recruiter in the provinces that we work in, that we need to be, helping you with your employment in Canada. More importantly, I am a regulated Canadian immigration consultant with the College of Immigration and Citizenship Consultants in Canada. This is a regulatory body that is there for your protection. I get to talk to you always about the boring stuff, the dry stuff, but the legal stuff and the most important stuff. Donna talked about preparation is key and critical. She talked about the employment file. Now I'm going to talk about the immigration file. Is it complete and ready? And this is important, everybody. So please focus, because a lot of clients seem to miss this part. When we're going for a work permit, we need to get an LMIA. You need to be qualified to pursue the occupation. The employer must pay the prevailing wage rate, and what happens to your spouse and children. So the labor market impact assessment, like the business visas, is the employer must pay the government $1,000 for every job they're trying to fulfill with a foreign worker. It's called a labor market impact assessment. The employer has to prove, again, that the job offer is positive or neutral to the local labor market. The job has been advertised for competition, and there's a lot more the employer needs to have gone through. The employer, if they're a personal employer, they can't have been declared bankruptcy once before. So these are types of things that you're not going to ask an employer, because they're going to slam the door on you. But it's sensitive information. We can talk to the employer once they start to become a little bit more serious. So you have to find out, are you qualified to pursue the occupation? Like Donna said, are you at least an 80% match? Do you have the relevant experience? What's the ease to the employer? What is the ease to the employer? That's your immigration file is complete and ready. We get a lot of information from a lot of people saying, give me a job, I'm ready to come. Give me a job, I'm ready to come. And it doesn't work that way, because are you ready to come? Because if we're introducing people to our potential employers in Canada, we want to know that you've got your English test done, your credential evaluation done. Is there licensing involved in your occupation? Have you started this? Have you completed it? Do you have it? So that's the ease to the employer, that if they offer you a job, you're good to go. A lot of people think they're ready today, but they may not be. And are you worth the wage? What's this all about? Well, the employer has to pay what's called the prevailing wage rate, the PWR. And this changes coast to coast, city to city, province to province on every job. So as an example, I put a welder there. And you can find out that for a yardstick, so you have an idea measurement, that the median wage for a welder in Canada is $25.50 an hour. Low is 18, high is 41.10. That's the averages. Well, if we look at the same job as a welder in Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, then the median wage is $21.75. So you cannot take a job with a work permit in Charlottetown unless the employer is going to pay $21.75 minimum. So are you worth the wage? Did you just graduate? If you did, then the employer is not going to pay you $21.75, or you've just finished your apprenticeship. If you've got more experience, then you can be getting higher, up to that 28. Now, that same job in Wood Buffalo, Alberta, up near the oil sands, the low wage is 25 and the median is 40. So the employer will have to pay a minimum of $40 an hour for the same job in Wood Buffalo. So then we'll have other clients saying, I want to go to Wood Buffalo. I want that higher wage. Well, your cost of living is reflected with your wage. So your standard of living should be the same no matter where you are in Canada. Earning $21.75 in Charlottetown will give you the same quality and standard of life as if you were working in Wood Buffalo, Alberta. Okay. So you don't have to say, I got to go over the higher wages, because you're going to have higher costs wherever you're living. But when we're looking at, again, staying with the welder, you're going to find that only 4 jobs out of every 15 will potentially qualify. So the potentially qualify meaning the employer might pay the prevailing wage rate, but they might have an over-allocation of foreign workers already at their place of business or at the institution where you're at. So again, it's about 20% of the jobs available, or 27% with the high wage, are going to be acceptable in every type of occupation right across the country. Your spouse or partner can work from day one. You have a restricted work permit to that employer. Your spouse or your partner gets an open work authorization to do whatever they wish to do. And like I said, very few restrictions. Your children under 18 get to go to school free of charge. You get your free medical coverage no matter what province you're in Canada. Some you have to wait 90 days before you're eligible. But this works out quite well. Now, if you are in a certain province and your children are above 18, they may be able to go on to university or college at normal rates and not foreign student rates, okay? There are issues when it comes to a work permit. Please remember this. They are for a fixed term, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years. Okay, they don't go on forever, but you can get these renewed if the employer keeps making a labor market impact assessment. It's visa specific to the employer. Because you have a work permit for Bob's Plumbing and you see Joe's Plumbing offers a little bit more money, you can't just go work for Joe's Plumbing because your work permit is for Bob's Plumbing. Your spouse or partner has an open work permit. They can change their job as much as they want. A lot of people say, I'm looking for an employer to sponsor me. It's not the employer sponsoring you. It's the employer sponsoring the job, okay? Has nothing to do with you. It doesn't automatically lead to permanent residence. If you're on a work permit, you have to make an application. Now, extra points are awarded because you're on a work permit, but you still have to take that next step if you want to go through permanent residency. So to give you an idea and a little bit of some fun here, I want everybody focus right now on one card, pick the card, burn it in your mind, okay? You've just chosen just one playing card there. And what you're looking at is the job openings that are in Canada because you've been very specific. You want to live in Main Street in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. You saw the job, it was perfect for you. You put all your eggs in that basket, and guess what? The card that you picked is gone, plain and simple. Hopefully you like that little trick. So you've got to make sure you keep the blinders open and what you can do and what you can't do. We're here to help you every step of the way. So in our final segment today, we're going through express entry because this is what ties everything we talked about yesterday and today, with the exception of family category, together. And we're going to go through this step by step. Again, where you want to go is going to be up to you. Some of you will need a job to get a visa, and others will be able to immigrate without needing the job first, but you'll be able to get the job after you arrive with the full permanent visa. So I'm happy to reintroduce my colleague, Helen Brereton, licensed like myself, who mentioned earlier that I'm much, much older than her. She was telling some porky pies because I think I'm actually 3 months younger than you.
Oh, you know
I'm not. I am more mature than Helen is.
You are. Thank you, Dennis.
I'll be back a little bit later.
No problem. Okay, so I hope your heads are not spinning with all the information that you've had so far. So now we're going to look at the economic categories. So the first one we're going to look at is the skilled trades. And as I mentioned earlier, the skilled trades is specifically for tradespeople who might not qualify as skilled workers. Lots of tradespeople don't have the academic qualifications because they do on-the-job training or they do informal apprenticeships. Now, to qualify as under this skilled trade program, you must plan to live outside the province of Quebec. Quebec is the French-speaking province, so you can live anywhere else in Canada except Quebec. You must meet the required levels in English or French, so you will need to do a language test, either an English test or a French test, to show that you meet the minimum language criteria. The language requirements for this program are lower than those for the skilled worker program. So there are different levels of language requirements depending on the type of visa that you will apply for. You must have at least 2 years of full-time work experience in a skilled trade within the 5 years before you apply. So under this visa category, they're only looking at your very recent work experience, and you must have 2 years in your skilled trade. You must meet all of the job requirements as set out in the NOC, the National Occupational Classification. And this is the really important bit about qualifying for this program. You must have an offer of full-time employment supported by a labour market impact assessment, or you must have a certificate of qualification in your skilled trade. So a certificate of qualification has got to be issued by a Canadian provincial or territorial body. They're often referred to as a Red Seal certificate. So under the skilled trades, it's you must have a job offer or your Red Seal certificate in order to qualify under that category. There's no points test on that one. That is the qualifying criteria. Under the next one, the Canadian experience class. Again, it's not points tested like the skilled worker category. The qualifying criteria for this program is you must have 1 year of skilled work experience in Canada within the last 3 years. You've also got to take a language test, English or French, and meet the minimum criteria. And the level of language that you're going to need depends on the skill level of your job. Okay, but for the Canadian experience class, that's it. It's language skills and it's 1 year of skilled work experience in Canada within the previous 3 years. So under the economic categories there, we've got the skilled workers, the skilled trades, and the Canadian experience class. And Dennis is back and he's going to take you through the next section.
Thank you, Helen. So as we mentioned before, that the economic category, express entry is not a visa category. It's just a management tool that organizes the immigration routes for federal skilled trade. Helen talked about it. Canadian experience class. Helen talked about it. Provincial and territorial nominations, which we talked about yesterday. And finally, the last one is the federal skilled worker. And there's some big changes coming here. So anybody who's been watching or following immigration, pay attention. So Canadian skilled worker category under the economic, this is one of the categories that you can immigrate to Canada without needing a job first. The qualifying criteria is based on these 6 categories: your age, qualification, your work experience, your language capabilities, your arranged employment if you have it, and adaptability. So your first one is age. Canada is the only country that doesn't have an age cutoff for all categories coming forward. But under skilled worker, 18 to 35 years old will give you your maximum points. You'll lose points above and below, and you'll get to a certain level where there's no longer any points available, but you can still immigrate if you can get enough points, plain and simple. Let's look at your qualification. You need high school, okay? And the higher your education, the more points you'll obtain. So, excuse me, you've got an apprenticeship, you've got a 1-year certificate, you've got a 2-3-year diploma, a 4-year bachelor's degree, a postgraduate, a master's. And finally, the highest you can receive is points by having a PhD completed. This has to be assessed in Canada. There's a red word in the middle of the box: mandatory. Work experience. Under the skilled worker category, you must prove that you have at least 1 year paid full-time or 1 year paid full-time equivalent experience in the previous 10 years. Up to 6 years will be qualified. Donna mentioned it's not what you call yourself, it's what we call you. So currently, focus everybody right now. Currently, this is how immigration is, I think my pointer's back, is worked upon. We have categories of occupations from 1 to 9. Business and finance, sales and service, engineering occupations, health occupations. And down the left-hand side are the skill set levels that go with each one: 0, A, B, C, and D. And you see that there's different occupations. I know it's hard to read. That's why you can ask for a copy of the slides. In 0 band, these are all management occupations, okay? If you are in charge of human capital, we consider that a skill set on its own. Under skill level A, occupations requiring usually university degree. Occupation B's, 1 year, 2 year diplomas. C, on-the-job training. And D occupations, you require a pulse. This is how you put your application forward, is describing what you are in terms of Canadian immigration. So under skill machinists, okay, or mechanics. Are you an electrical mechanic? Are you a diesel mechanic? Are you a chemical mechanic? There's all kinds of different ways being called a mechanic. People like to tell us that they are a project engineer, program manager. Program manager in what? Construction, IT. I mean, it breaks down so much. So the obligation is on you to make sure you have picked the right occupation. Now, truck drivers are here. They're in skill level C. This means you can't go through the federal program, but a truck driver would have to go through a provincial program, which is acceptable and works wonders. This is critical, people, because if you are serious about Canada, there's some big changes coming very soon, like this November. And we are changing the classification structure from the NOC to the tier: training, education, experience, and responsibilities. There are a lot of occupations that are going to be eliminated from immigration. So if you're serious about Canada, you might need to get an application in now, because you will be protected. If you're in before the changes happen, then you get locked in grandfathered. So again, legislation, we still have the same types of categories, but we've changed what you need, okay? And the only ones that are going to be acceptable are in green. The yellows are going to be very dicey in terms of can they come forward or not. And anybody in the 5th tier probably won't be able to come. So how does this work? Similar to the last. Management occupations, all people that are in charge of human capital. Tier 1 usually require a university degree, but here's where it splits now. Tier 2 and Tier 3. You need a college diploma or apprenticeship training of 2 years or more, or a college diploma or apprenticeship training of less than 2 years might make you ineligible. Tier 4 is now high school diplomas or several weeks of on-the-job training. So what we understand, and this will be coming out later, is these probably will not be qualified through the federal skill program, and these may not be qualified through a federal skill program. Okay, so you have to make sure you get a proper assessment right up front. So this is your work experience. The obligation is on you to understand this and put this forward. Fourth criteria is your language. If you speak 2 languages, you are bilingual. If you speak 3 languages, you are trilingual. If you speak 1 language, you are British. Canada is French and English. So everybody here watching today, because some people have asked this question, at some point in time, everybody will be required to take an English language test or a French language test, or both, if you have French and English abilities. The only people who will never have to take an English or French test are those that are coming through family sponsorship. Trust me, people, you're going to need an English test sooner or later. And if you want to have your employment file looking excellent, you're going to have this up front. I do not care that you have an English PhD from Oxford University in Great Britain. If you don't have an English test, you're not coming to Canada. So the only people that will not be... Now, do you have to have perfect and fluent? No, but you have to take the test to show the level that you have in terms of your English or French capabilities. If you were a little bit more mature and you're not getting any points for your age, you're going to require arranged employment. This is going back to that labor market impact assessment we talked about. So this qualifies if you have a work permit already, but maybe the employer doesn't want to bring you on a work permit, but they can still organize the job vetted for you, like an arranged employment offer, and they're willing to keep the job open until you arrive. This will give you the extra points that you need in order to come forward. And your last one is adaptability. So this is where you get all your bonus points. If you have studied in Canada for 2 years or more, you get 5 extra points. If you have that AEO, arranged employment offer, you have this, you get extra points automatically. If you have a close family in Canada, a close family member means mother, father, brother, sister, niece, nephew, grandmother, grandfather, son or daughter, niece or nephew. So first cousins don't count. Put your cultural differences aside. Don't list on your application that you have an auntie because you've always grown up with her as your auntie. If it's not your father's sister or your mother's sister, it is not your aunt. Okay. Don't talk about my cousin brother. Okay. Some cultures talk about this. If it's not your brother, same mother or same father, it won't count. So be very careful about this one. Only one counts. You have to prove they're in Canada. You have to prove they're alive, and you have to prove that they're status in Canada, being a citizen or a permanent resident. Now, you may not have the relative, but maybe your spouse has the relative. That still counts for you because you're one application. If you've worked in Canada 1 year full-time on a restricted skilled capacity, you'll receive, not restricted, if you worked in a skilled capacity for at least 1 year. And if you have a spouse or partner and they have taken the English test or the French test, you can receive extra points based on their English language capability. So overall, you need 67 points under skilled worker. Skilled trade, there's no points test. Canadian experience class, there's no points test. Skilled worker, you need 67 or more. It doesn't matter if you have 99 points, 81 points, 68 points. You just need to meet or exceed 67 units of assessment in order to go forward under the skilled worker category. So now you qualify. Federal skilled worker, federal skilled trade, Canadian experience class, or you got a nomination certificate. Now we go into express entry. Express entry is on a different set of points, whether you're a single person or whether you're a couple. Now, we have some people that are a couple saying, I'm going to leave my spouse behind. It doesn't work that way. You are still a couple. So I've got the Olympic rings there because as far as I'm concerned, it's very much like the Olympic Games. The Olympic Games are every 4 years. And when you have come or watched the Olympics, that you're seeing the top athletes from all over the world in competition. But in order to have been at the Olympics, they had to do their trials and their heats back home, and they had to win competitions that you didn't even see just yet. Once they come together, they go into competition, the heats, the trials, and they get down to the finals, and there's always 1, 2, 3 people who get a medal, gold, silver, and bronze. Well, Canada has the Olympic Games about every 2 weeks. We have an express entry draw, and the best of the best are selected. They're the ones that get a medal. It doesn't matter if it's gold, silver, bronze. You just need a medal. That's a permanent visa for Canada. So firstly, you need to qualify as a federal skilled worker, 67 points or more. Or you need to qualify as a federal skilled tradesperson, 2 years experience in the past 5. Or you've qualified under Canadian Experience class, 1 year of skilled experience in the previous year. Then you need to win a medal. You need to be selected. It's about every 2 weeks. It's not 468. Scratch that out. The last one was 520 points. Sorry, the upside wasn't updated. We talked about the provincial nominations. If you get a provincial nomination selection, you get 600 points. That's an automatic selection. If you do a business work permit, some are doing it under 50 points, but we're doing the application that give you 200 points. Processing, 6 to 9 months, 7 to 10 months. It's in that zone. It's a fast visa for your permanent visa to come to Canada. So under these categories, what are your potential barriers to migration? It's your IELTS or CILPIP or TEF. International English Language Testing System, Canadian English Language Preparation Program, or the evaluation for French language level. These are your language tests. I butchered up the last one. I'm sorry. Do you have to be perfect in our languages? No, but you have to show you've got a level, and the level that you have will determine how many points you're going to obtain. So when we have our clients, Wagwan Jamaica, our Trinidadians, our Brits, our Kiwis, some of our South Africans, people who are coming from English-speaking countries, they always take the English test for granted, thinking, I was raised in English, I was educated in English, no problem. And then when they get the results, they're very proud that they hit the minimum scores required. It's the maximums that are going to get you through, not the minimums. It's very competitive right now. So we tell you to take your time, practice. There's lots of practice examinations, because once you take this test, which I've taken for my immigration license, you're going to be shocked. It's not as easy as you thought. It can be challenging. And they're not cheap, okay? They're about $350 US to take, 177 pounds in the UK. You can take it more than once, but you can't combine reports. You can't take your top speaking on that one with your top writing on that one. So it's reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Risha just did her test last Saturday, very tricky. Okay, and hopefully the preparation was there. And the results come quickly, they get within a couple of days. The next one is your Education Canadian Assessment. You have to have your education reassessed by one of the licensed authorities in Canada to show what the equivalent of your education is from your home country to ours. Most bachelor's degrees are going to be equated to a bachelor's degree in Canada. Fine, fair enough. That's great. But you might have some weird and wonderful different things. In Great Britain, you might have your HND. Well, that will translate to a college diploma in Canada. Now, college in the UK means A-levels, or to us, high school. College in Canada means like university. So you need to score all your qualifications, because the more you have, the better it is. And some of these application forms are tricky until you just get your highest qualification assessed. That can give you a false positive or a false negative in Canadian immigration as well. So you want to make sure you've stopped these barriers right away. You can go. Okay, in the immortal words of my father, anything can be done, give it time or money. So we're here to help prep you. And I'm going to ask 16 if they want to come back now. 16 is code word for both Donna and Helen. We are a company that has 3 separate divisions. Okay, we have our employment division and relocation, which Donna handles, and Helen handles our visa specialists. It's important that all 3 are married together and we work together side by side to make sure they're done in the proper order. We are your partner migration when it comes to your visa application, when it comes to your fact-find trips and your relocation resettlement services, and helping you with potential immigration and your job. We talked about this before, and it's going to be up here for only a couple of minutes. We have our evaluation worksheet. Donna must be on her time today, Helen. So Helen's got a copy. I've got a copy. These are 4 pages. This is the evaluation worksheet you do need to complete. And this is the one that we're offering at a massive discount only until Tuesday. Okay. And then it goes back up to full price on the web. So page 1, your details and whether you have children or not, when you need to admit them. Page 2 goes into your education. The next block is all about your work experience, and the bottom is about your language capabilities. Page 3 talks about your finances. This is one, especially with a lot of our Jamaicans, they leave this blank. Do not leave this blank, okay? We're not being nosy. This determines different programs you can and can't do, okay? Plain and simple. We want to know about any family that you have in Canada. We want to know about your future plans. And page 4 is all about your partner if you have one. So if you're single, you do not fill this page in. And don't fill this section in, because this is the full price section. When you go online to PayPal, remember, you do not need a PayPal account. You just need a credit card. Go through this. You'll still get this form. Don't fill this section in, but you still need to sign and date it. Okay, plain and simple. Email this back. The address is on the bottom of every page where to email this back to us at info@. When you do go to the web, there'll also be the supplement available as well. And there's also the study supplement if you missed yesterday. So when you go on that link, you're going to get to here. You're going to have the form available in English. You can have the form available in French, whatever your choice. And you can type that form in. This supplement and the study supplement are static forms. They need to be printed off, handwritten, and scanned back to us. When you continue going through, you can still pick the business supplement or the study supplement. And what you're going to get to is this section here, which talks about apply a coupon. There is no coupon to apply because we've made the whole thing $40 right now. It should be here, but make sure it says quantity 1. Okay. You don't want to pay for 2. It's going to get to the next section. You're going to fill in your details, but what's important here is additional information. Put in your BMG reference number. You all would have received an email from us, or hopefully you have, but in the top right-hand corner of your email, it'll have the date, and underneath that, it'll have your BMG reference number. That's where you fill that section in. Finally, you'll get to the final stages. As I said, you do not need a PayPal account. You just need Visa, MasterCard, or Amex, and you can go through this and take the discount, which is available until Tuesday. So we do offer it. It is heavily discounted, and this is going to be your full evaluation on all the programs. By the way, there's only 20 seconds left on the bar at the top, and then it's gone. And this will be the last time here. So if you haven't clicked it, click it now. We're going to provide your report out to you. We're going to show you exactly how you're going to qualify, and then we're going to invite you to a meeting. If you are coming from Trinidad and Tobago and Great Britain, I will be over to your country shortly in order to have a face-to-face interview. Jamaica, I will be down before the end of the year. And for all other countries, if I'm not available, we do it via Skype. This is how we have our meetings online. So today was the business opportunities, how to get a job and work permits, and tying everything together. If you need more, you can rewatch these on our YouTube channel. And remember that we have our upcoming Web Expo on September 11th, about a 5-hour affair. We have our different industry colleagues come and join us, how to move your money, how to move your personal belongings. For those of you that have pets that you're looking at specialist removals there, real estate in Canada, mortgages. So different people join us, and we go through the visa topics yet again. We do a mini Web Expo. Last one was in May. Next one probably won't be until November, December. We haven't organized that one just yet. And remember, with our clients, we do keep in touch with them on a monthly basis. We're dealing with our clients day by day, but when there is secret or shocking news coming through immigration, our clients find out first. So now we are able to go into our question and answer session. Please, I forgot yesterday, if you've liked what you heard today, please take the time to go to Google later and give us a review, hopefully 5 stars. And please give us a rating of 5 stars on Facebook if that's what you believe. Please take time to do it because it does help other people out there. And hopefully if you've watched other webinars, you've realized that Don and Helen are the best, and I was just filling in some of the gaps. So I think we can go to Q&A now. I think a lot of them are going to be heavily towards Donna, Helen, but that gives us a break from yesterday. Okay, actually, I think the first one's for me. Good morning, all. From Dawn. It would be a good idea to get BMG costs for each package, setting up a business in Canada. What does it take to facilitate this? Dawn, as I mentioned in the that section, you have an investment to make, an overall investment, okay? I'm part of that investment. So we're going to go through this step by step because every type of business visa has different avenues. Are there children? Are there a family? Do you need a fact find trip? Are we buying a business? Are we starting a new business? So we'll go through all of that, but we gave you the overall cost of what it's going to take in order for you to come forward. Sani, do you have a company visa sponsorship for truck drivers? Well, I was instigated. What's the word I'm looking for, Helen?
Created.
Okay, the truckers program. So companies don't sponsor you, companies sponsor the job. And yes, we do work with truck drivers a lot. Yannick, are you going to send us a link for the visa? No, but we did send you the link for the evaluation worksheet. Jeremy, what are the exact documents that need to be sent alongside the application? Well, Jeremy, that's something we will work with you once you are a client because I don't know what type of application you're making yet. That determines the type of applications. I don't have a passport. How can I migrate to Canada? Will Carlos you're going to have a passport of your nationality in order to be able to facilitate entry to Canada. I'm a British citizen, over 50, with 20 years admin experience. What visa do I need to come over on? A de Deo, probably a work permit to start, and then turning to permanent residency afterwards. How long does the migration process usually take? Is there a cutoff age limit? So there is no age limit, but Helen, you can talk about the immigration process.
There is no age limit. The processing time can vary depending on the type of application you make. If you're applying for a temporary work permit or study permit, it can be a matter of weeks. If you're applying for permanent residency, again, the processing times vary depending on which category you're applying under. Some applications can be processed within 6 months. Others might take 2-3 years. So it all depends on the type of application exactly, how long it will take to get your visa.
Donna, Dumisani wants to know this.
Do you find companies to place people? So I'm assuming you're talking about employment opportunities. Yes, we work with companies across the country. So we offer an employment assistance program, depending on whether you need a visa. Need employment before you can apply for your visa, or whether you can obtain the visa and then look for employment. So we have different packages available.
Helen, Olivette wants to know this answer.
Can I relocate with my family on a temporary work permit? Yes, you can. If you're coming along with a spouse or a common law partner, usually they can get a work permit as well, and children can get study permits to go to school in Canada, so the family can come together usually.
How would Olivette find out?
Complete the form.
Question for me. How many years does a business need to be established in your home country to be considered? Risha, not long. You can have the company just open recently. It's all going to help towards what you're doing in Canada. Because this came during the business section, I'm going to assume this is towards the business. No, you can't start a business for $9,000. But if you're talking about skilled worker, then you're looking at £9,000 is what you need. So about $12,000 for the first person, about $3,500 for every person after that is not what you need to spend, but what you need to have in a skilled worker program without needing a job. Donna, Tanya wants to know, do we help with jobs with caregivers?
We assist with jobs with caregivers, yes.
So everybody watching, we're going to be very careful because we will never promise or guarantee you a job. It's illegal. There are people out there that sell jobs. That is illegal. We will assist you in you getting your own job. Donna, here we start going into, I'm a school guidance counselor. Are there any opportunities for me in Canada? If yes, how can I get a job offer? The last part, I guess you've answered, but maybe the first one.
School guidance counselor, well, there are going to be positions in Canada. They will be available generally through a school board, and we can provide assistance, but we'd have to look further at your experience, etc., before we can provide further details. But how you get the job is simply by applying for positions.
Do visa applications take work experience into account in a particular field, or do they prefer the accreditation? So do they want the experience, Donna, or do they want the bachelor's degree?
The question is about visa applications. For employment, you're looking much more for your experience.
I did.
So for employment, you're going to look much more at your work experience, but it could be a combination of both. But I'll let you or Helen answer about the visa application.
Go for it, Helen.
Yeah, the visa applications, they will be looking at your work experience. They want to see you've got the skills and experience. But for example, under the skilled worker program, you get points for your work experience, you get points for your education, but they do not have to be connected. So education can be in a completely different subject to your work experience. It doesn't matter. Okay, but generally they will look at both.
I'm a licensed practical nurse. Would I come under skilled worker program, GDN? Yes, you would. What platforms are best to use when searching for a job from your home country? Nadine, I think Donna went through that. But again, you can request a copy of the slides. Paul, I've heard talk about this CANSAC countries. We've heard rumors about this before, only through this chat room. So we have looked into this. There's nothing on this whatsoever. And we do have our colleagues in Ottawa. They've not even heard anything about this. Are there specific job industries that are more in demand, possibly count for more points for a candidate to go over? All jobs are equal in terms of your points in coming to Canada. The jobs don't rank. It used to be when I first started immigration 27 years ago, but no. Is IELTS essential for a work permit caregiver, please? Edith. Well, Helen and Donna will probably answer. Helen will say you don't need it for the work permit, and Donna will say you want to get it to impress the employer. So yes and no is the answer there. Can you apply for jobs without a visa, Helen? Or do you have to have a visa first before you start looking for jobs?
No, you can start looking for a job without a visa because you can't get a work permit without a job offer. So you need the job offer first in order to then apply for a work permit.
Yannick asked a couple of questions. And are you sponsoring me the Canada Work Visa, yes or no?
I'm sure everyone wants to be sponsored.
Yeah, sorry, Yannick, we can't sponsor everybody.
Can you apply for work visa without job offer? We've gone through that one. It just popped up. Do British citizens still have to do an IELTS to move to Canada? Helen.
Yep, everybody needs to do the language test now. It doesn't matter where you're from. Everybody does it. The rules are the same no matter where you are in the world.
What do you do if the apps or the sites do not work or allow you to apply from your country region? This is from Sabrina to you, Donna.
Choose another app or site or get a VPN.
Or just a paper CV. I'm a registered nurse in the UK and completed my registration with NNAS a few years ago. Well done, Christine. Do I need to sit the NCLEX before applying for a job?
Is that question for me? Not necessarily, no. Once you registered with NNAS, then you need to register with the Ontario College, the College of Nurses in the province. So if it is Ontario, then it would be the Ontario College of Nurses. So you don't necessarily have to sit the examination, but you do have to proceed with registration with the college. And some provinces allow you to get a temporary license so that you have time to be working in Canada before you challenge that examination.
And Christine used an abbreviation for all other nurses out there, licensed and registered, NNAS is National Nursing Assessment Service. Helen Delicia wants to know, is IELTS, if it's abbreviated correctly, mandatory for people from Trinidad and Tobago?
Yeah, for permanent residency applications, the language test is mandatory, either the IELTS or the CELTIP.
Donna, open general question.
Are there jobs available for teachers? Well, the highest demand jobs for teachers are in early education. So if you're in early childhood education, then there's a massive demand for those in Canada. As the level goes higher, then the demand gets less.
Nadisha wants to know, is there a job for farmers?
Is there a job for farmers? Yes, again, depends on what type of farming, but there is lots of farms and opportunities across the country.
Helen, Yannick wants to know, if you don't have kids, can I still come to Canada?
Absolutely, you can still come, not a problem. Okay, you can either come by yourself, or for those people who have children, if they're under the age of 22, they can be included on your application.
I think you came to Canada without children, and Donna came to Canada begrudging that she had to take her children. How soon after entering Canada work permit can you apply for your permanent visa, Helen?
It depends. Everybody's situation is going to be a little bit different. It depends what province you're in and what their programs are. Some people can apply straight away. Some people might need to get some work experience in Canada before applying for permanent residency. So it all depends on the sort of individual situation there.
Donna, is free health insurance available for all work permits?
No. Well, the answer actually is no. It's not. Provincial healthcare is generally available if you've got a 12-month employment offer from an employer based in the province. But because it says all work permits, then I have to say no. But generally, most people that come in on a work permit will be able to get free healthcare.
Delicia, are there any special programs for registered nurses? Not visa, but with the latest state of affairs in Canada, you'll probably see yourself looked upon a little bit more favorably as they're treating foreign trained nurses and other occupations a little bit differently now to help facilitate them coming in. Donna, I'm an elementary teacher with a Bachelor of Education, Special Needs, and Certificate in TESOL. What are my options? Well, actually not for you, Donna, that's for us. So Helen and I are going to tell you, Jewel, It's your evaluation first, and that's going to tell you your options. Minimum language requirements, Alex, we've gone through that, but for tradespeople, it's 4, and for skilled workers, it's 7. How long Trinidadian you can wait for the visa? Yannick, I thought you were from Jamaica. I'm sorry. Well, we don't know what type of visa you're looking for. Work permits, we're talking weeks. If we're talking permanent residency, you're looking at 6 to 9 months, same as everybody else. What are the national financial requirements when coming on a work permit, Helen?
Depends what type of work permit it is, Delicia. Some work permits, there'll be no financial requirements. Others, there might be some requirements, and the amount required can vary. But for most work permits, you don't need to show a proof of funds.
And when Helen says most, we're talking the mass majority don't require any financial requirement. How do you obtain certificate of qualification, Donna? From Aaron.
That's a very open-ended question. Well, it depends on if you're a tradesperson. I'm going to assume that certificate of qualification. Then you apply for assessment of your work experience that's out of Canada, work experience through the apprenticeship office in the province where you wish to work.
Yannick has a lot of questions. So he asked about certified cook. I'm skipping that one, Yannick, because this makes it general to all, including cook. Donna?
Do tradesmen qualify to work and live in Canada? Yes, most of them will require a job offer or trade certification. But I think at this time, Helen, if I'm not wrong, most people are going to need, tradespeople are going to need the job offer. The certification just makes it a bit more challenging. So a job offer is what you're going to need.
Helen, Dumisani, can I do an English test before applying for any visa?
Yeah, absolutely. The English test reports are valid for 2 years once you've taken the test, so they can be used in your visa application then. If the report did expire...
Staying with it, with Nadisha.
How's the English test done? You'll need to register for a test, and the tests are held at lots of local colleges or universities in the countries that you're at, and the tests will be completed there.
Kevin wants to know, will you be listing recognized ECAs? There's a multitude of them, Kevin. We don't, but we do provide that, but they're easy to find online as well. Mohammed, where can I download this form? Well, we put the link up twice, and Amanda has put in the chat room the link as well. What about bank transfer? Are you accepting that? Are y'all accepting that? Deline, yes, that if you ask info@brazoligroup.com, we'll send you out the bank transfer instructions tomorrow. What's the success rate with Brazil Migration with respect to job placement? Chanel, all of our clients who have been going for a job, who have done what Donna has set out for them, have been successful. If you do nothing and sit back and expect the job to fall in your lap, that's not going to happen. But there's energy and effort that you need to put into this. Our overall success with visa, because you can't get the job without the visa, is about 96% over 27 years. How are H&Ds counted as points in Canada? Very high. They're a college diploma. Donna, Mohammed wants to know, do you provide an offer of employment?
No, we don't provide offer of employment from BMG or any other company.
Staying with it, we provide support for job opportunities.
That's exactly what we do, yes. We provide support for our careers assistance program. So we work with our clients who are seeking a position to apply for the visa. Yes, we support them through it, and we're working with employers here that are looking for job seekers.
Jamila, I don't understand this question. Maybe Donna, Helen, can you tell me what provinces are HSD? I don't know.
I'm not sure what HSD is referring to.
Most of job in Canada need passport living in Canada. Yes, Mohammed, you will need a passport to be able to enter Canada. Gregory has just joined. What is the cost of a consultation with Brazolot? Right now, until Tuesday, it's $40 Canadian. It's discounted from about 117 Canadian. But your appointment isn't going to be Monday, Tuesday. Your appointment will happen in the next weeks after that. Deline, both my husband and I are skilled trade workers. What is the expected funds I need to get? Also traveling with 2 kids under 13. So the amount of funds based on a family of 4, if you qualify for a skilled worker visa without needing a job offer, will be 25,553 Canadian dollars. 25,553. That's for a family of 4. If you need a job offer, you probably won't require any funds to prove. What if you have a 10-year visa for Canada? Would that help with your points? Nadisha, this is a visitor visa, and this only allows you opportunities if Donna says, you've got some potential job offers. They want to see you live in person. Come on up here. You've already got a visitor visa to come. What do you do if the apps? We've gone through that one. Sabrina, obviously you didn't like that we didn't get your question fast enough. Richard, what is the price range to buy a business? Richard, that's up to you and the type of business, but I told you your investment should be around the 250,000 mark. Helen, Mohammed thinks he's extremely old.
Your age is 36. That's absolutely fine, Mohammed. There's no age limit for Canada under the skilled worker. Under different visa categories, it can get a little bit more challenging the older you get, but your age is still great, so nothing to worry about there, Mohammed.
Cost of the consultation, Gregory, is 40 Canadian up until Tuesday. After that, it goes back to 117 Canadian. Now, good question here. If a consultation was done with you before, do we still have to fill out the form again in order to help you with spouse work permit? No, you do not. If everything's been done within the previous 2 years, you do not have to pay for it again. You do not have to fill in the form again, but just send an email at info@Brazolot Group. You should have your reference number. Just like you'd like to hook up again. If it's over 2 years, we may ask you to go through the procedure again because it's changed. Adrian, how's the future for truck drivers? We don't see it. It's okay. Is it harder or easier in the future? I can tell you up until November, it's same old, same old. You're going to come in on a work permit. After November, there's going to be some changes to truckers, but we have to look at your profile to tell you whether it's going to be harder or easier. We've gone through the Russia. We've quickly a process for a registered nurse, Donna.
Okay, so first of all, you have to obtain licensing or certification, so NNAS registration, then registration with the Provincial College of Nurses, get a job in Canada, write the exam, and then permanent residency.
What are the opportunities for a police officer with a psychology degree background? Tamika, you're a skilled worker. There's no problem there. We'll just qualify you. But to get a work permit, that'll be a little bit more challenging. Now, a good question here from Cjo. Are there assistance provided for entry-level data analyst jobs? If it's an entry-level position in white-collar jobs, we have Canadians to fulfill those positions. It's going to be difficult. Donna, correct me if I'm wrong. Difficult to extremely impossible to help you get a work permit for an entry-level job, unless you were a student in Canada who graduated with an open work authorization. You're expected to get an entry-level job. Anything I said wrong, Donna?
No.
Do you recommend any provinces for work opportunities in art, design, and media? From Jonathan. Donna, that's
No,
you.
I don't recommend a specific province, but obviously Toronto, Vancouver are going to probably have the most opportunities.
I don't know if this is the same one from before. Donna and Helen, can you tell me which provinces HSE jobs are in demand for immigrants? Was that the same one from before? Like we?
No, I think it's different.
Okay, sorry, Gemini, I don't understand the question. Good morning. I would like to migrate. I'm 41. My son is 19. Should we do one evaluation form or apply separately? Melissa, right now it's one form because your 19-year-old goes here on the bottom. You don't have to do a separate one, but you can send a separate CV if you think there's a need there. But right now it's just one form. Helen, does a British citizen get Canadian citizenship without going through a point system?
No, you've got to go through exactly the same process as everybody else. The rules are the same, no matter what your nationality. So everybody has got to qualify and everybody has got to apply. Canadian citizenship can only be obtained after you've obtained permanent residency status. So you've got to be a Canadian permanent resident for a specific period of time before you can apply for Canadian citizenship.
And both you and Donna have done the citizenship test. How many questions are there?
20 questions. And I think you've got to get 15, at least 15 out of 20 to pass the citizenship test.
Can I get a work permit for a skilled worker if I'm not certified? Well, if you're not certified in Canada yet, it's still possible to get a work permit. And then Donna, what? They've got generally 90 days to get their certification if it wasn't a requirement for the job.
But depends what occupation we're talking about and where that person is going to be located. So don't really know the answer to that because there isn't an answer because I don't have the information. But basically, you can get a work permit and then become certified if you're a tradesperson in Canada once you're in Canada.
Well, Helen wants to know, I got a job in Canada, Helen, but the employer asked me to apply for a work visa first, then contact the nearest Canadian embassy. I was wondering of it. So I guess he's going to have to
fill in the form, and then we'll be able to give you some assistance then, Mahad.
Donna, for you, Amanda wants to know, are you able to provide somewhere for us to stay? Like you personally, Donna?
No. Basically, we provide information on where you can find rentals or purchasing a property, depending on your circumstances. But unfortunately, no, we don't provide places for you to stay.
I'm seeing a lot of repeated questions coming up. Maybe it was people thought their question wasn't seen, so I will be skipping over those. I'm not going to do them twice again. Donna, I'm a midwife, qualified 2005. Are there jobs for midwives?
Midwifery is a new thing in Canada. Surprise, surprise. But so it's taken some time because this occupation is only newly implemented. But there will be positions, but you do have to have a nursing background.
Good question here from Jaden for you, Helen. I'm 21 years old, just leaving college. Don't have any experience due to the fact I'm just finishing college. What's the best way to go for college there and then apply for a job?
Okay, Jaden. So there might be a couple of options for you, which would be able to advise you once you've completed the assessment form. But it could be that you could apply for a study permit and come over to Canada to study. And once you've completed your studies, you could apply for a postgraduate work permit. Again, get some Canadian work experience and then apply for your permanent residency. Depending on your nationality, there might be an opportunity for you to get a working holiday visa as well. So if you complete the assessment form, we'll be able to look at the different options for you.
What organization would you recommend to learn French?
There's the Alliance Française, which authorizes the TEF examination, and they offer courses. But I'm sure if you check your local colleges, they might be able to offer courses as well.
Can I move to Canada if I set up a business? Yes, Gregory, by all means. It's one of the specialty categories that's available, and that we talked about earlier. Are there jobs available in the hospitality industry? Nikashi? Yes. It's probably one of the largest employers out there, isn't it, Donna?
It's the sector with the highest demand, yes.
Helen, you've did this before, but we can repeat it. If you do the IELTS exam, how long is it valid for before it expires?
So it's valid for 2 years. When you do the IELTS exam, for immigration, it's the general test, not the academic. And the test results are valid for 2 years. So if you don't submit your visa application before it expires, you would need to take a new test. However, if you did submit a visa application and your results expired while your applications have been processed, that's absolutely fine. Okay, so 2 years is the length of time for the language test.
Okay, Donna, what we're going to do here is I'm certified buyer and Tyler. So talk about the general requirements, what it would take to get a work in Canada as a tradesperson. The next couple of questions are all about white collar jobs and nursing. So if you want to talk about the trades first and the white collar second, that will help a lot of people with the question. So I'm not going to go into the individual occupations anymore, or everybody will keep asking. So
yeah, well, I saw there are lots of questions coming up on specific occupations. So basically, if you are a tradesperson in Canada, in your home country, then it depends whether it's a compulsory trade in Canada, like a plumber or electrician, mechanic. You're going to need to get a certification. If you're a tiler, carpenter, those sort of trades, then certification is voluntary, so you don't need to do that unless it's required by the employer. So you can start applying for positions before the certification. So if it's a certified trade, you need to apply for certification first of all. And if it's not certified or voluntary, then you can start applying for positions and start working in Canada once you got your work permit.
White collar positions?
And for positions like nurses, accountants, etc., that require some type of certification or licensing, it's a similar situation. You need to proceed with that first of all and then apply for positions. If it's a position that doesn't require any type of licensing or certification, then you can start applying for positions and then apply for your work permit when you choose secure that position or permanent residency, whichever is applicable.
Can a disabled person move to Canada with family? Naziha, it depends on how handicapable your situation is. It's not an automatic stop, but if they're under the age, and we have to look at what's called excessive demand. Are you going to cost Canada money by being here with your disability? If you're not, there's not going to be an issue. Like you might be blind in one eye. That's not going to stop you from coming. But if you have cerebral palsy, and it's severe, it could stop your entry to come to Canada. But it's a case-by-case basis. Again, we go through the application form. Are there jobs for different occupations? There's no jobs that aren't available except entry level. Okay. Do British citizens need sponsorship? Every country is identical. Okay. Is the $40 all that need to be paid throughout? How long do I need to be client? Do I need to do it again? Kenny, no, the $40 is the evaluation on all programs and how you are situated today. And all being positive, it's going to come to the consultation. That's what your $40 is covering. Greg's asking cost. I don't understand that. Are there any jobs for practical nurses? Cost decline after completing the assessment form? Rachel, we did this yesterday. People want to know. So every scenario is different. Are you single? Are you married? Do you need a job offer? Do you have a criminal issue in your background that needs to have an application done? So we will give you an exact price before you ever start. Okay. So after the evaluation has been done and we go through the programs, we'll do this. Look at about 5,000 Canadian is what you're going to be looking at as a guidepost, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less. But obviously it becomes more if you become a business client, if you've got spouse, children. Cook is skilled. Truck drivers, they have to get their license again in Canada. Yes. And non-national qualified for government institutions. Yes. These are a lot of employment questions. Can I get through the price range by a business? Richard, you can do your own research. We encourage that, but you're going to have to work with someone who is licensed and properly do this properly, because this is stuff that's integral to your application. So get your own research done, fantastic. But we don't encourage our clients to go off and purchase things before they have the licensed broker working with them, licensed immigration working with them. Make sure you get that all coordinated. Options for administrator. People are asking about their options. People, it's going to come down to your evaluation worksheet. Not everybody is going to be the same. Immigration online. So someone asked earlier, I think there was a question about what's the difference between our evaluation, Helen, and the government's online calculator.
The online calculator's great. However, with those online calculators, a lot of the time you just get the option from a drop-down menu, and you might find that the drop-down menu is not relevant to your situation. So by completing our form, you're able to put in your information as it stands for you, and we can then interpret it as to what that would mean under the Canadian immigration. So then we can do the full assessment and let you know. I've been to trade shows before where people have come up to me and said they've done the online assessment. They score 87 points on the skilled worker points grid. And as soon as they say that, I know that's incorrect. Okay. Because it is. Okay. So it's easy to overestimate your points on those online calculators.
And especially with the Express Entry where they tell us how many points they have.
Really easy.
How long does the evaluation for work permit take to process? Alex, if you're talking about this, once this comes in and once you get your email back from us, it'll be within that same day, if not the next day, saying we've received it. Right now, it'll take about 3 to 5 business days to have your results by email. It's not long. Most are done same day, if not within 48 hours. If you migrate as a permanent resident, Helen, are you entitled to free healthcare?
Yes, you will be. Don's probably better on this one though, but there might be a qualifying period of 90 days in some provinces, but you will then be able to be entitled to healthcare.
Costs again, we've gone through that. Again, people are asking about their individual jobs. Any future for early child development teachers? Jimmy Sani, if you didn't listen to Donna, yes, it's high demand. I'm 21. I've never worked before. Will I find it difficult to find a job? Helen would like that life.
I'm sure.
Well, being 21 or
Being 21, yeah.
How can we apply for the skilled worker program? Stacy, it is your evaluation. That's what starts everything off. Good morning. There are opportunities for mental nurses and also welders. Can I qualify as federal jobs as non-national of Canada? Yes. How do we go about applying for the work permit? Again, it's the evaluation. Are the jobs available? People, there's all the jobs that you're asking about are all here. Okay. Would it be a conflict of interest to apply through your company and also apply independently through university or the Canadian Embassy or other entity? No, Richie. You can do as you wish, but we wouldn't want to make sure we want to make sure you don't have two of the same at the same time, because that's immigration will just say, "What are you doing?" Okay. Is this a one consultation available online or only face to face? No, Paul, it's both. For those that are, as I said, in Jamaica, Trinidad, UK, I will be touring these countries in the next couple of weeks to months. So it's always better face to face, because immigration is not a simple topic. Okay. If we can't meet you, if you're coming from Nigeria, you're coming from a different part of the United States or Philippines, we have consultations all over the world, and those are online Skype, but they're as long as you need. They're generally about an hour, hour and a half. That's included in the $40 that you're going to go through. Oh, we got to the end. I thought today wasn't going to get to the end, which is all good. Okay, so, and you know what's going to happen now, Helen? All the questions will be fired through.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. Okay. Someone just said they're still not hearing anything. I wonder if they've gone through the whole hour and a half without hearing anything.
that's kind of disappointing.
I don't know. Part of me is like, that'd be a joy not to be able to hear Dennis, wouldn't it?
Who said that?
What? No.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully we've gone through what we can on an online free webinar. Hopefully you got a lot of information. You can come to Canada. You just need to put some effort into it. The first one is your evaluation. People, how can we meet from Trinidad? You can't meet me until you have gone through the evaluation process, because I don't meet people who are not qualified on paper. Someone yesterday said we just need a quick chat. We can't have a quick chat, Helen and I, because everything we say is advice. So until we're under a proper agreement, it's for our protection. We don't have chats with people. You can talk to Donna as much as you want. But Donna won't go on her telephone number. So I want to thank everybody for coming today. Please take advantage of the evaluation worksheet. Also, if you've enjoyed what you've heard yesterday and today, go to Google, go to Facebook. Please give us a rating. Hopefully it's going to be 5 stars. And take advantage of the evaluation worksheet. The full webinar is available on our YouTube channel, yesterday and today's, but you can also send us a request at info@brazolotgroup.com, and we will send you a copy of the slides out tomorrow. I'm gone. I'm done. Helen, you can let them know what everybody's going to see now.
Okay.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us, everyone, today. Dennis is going to play a final video now, which you can enjoy. It's a really catchy tune and lots of useful information about Canada. Please remember, if you do want specific advice, fill the form in and get it back to us. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Timmy's and hockey, syrup and bacon, Molson and Mounties at your can stations, throwing on some cheese and gravy on top of our fries. That's a poutine. And we wear our plaid sweaters when we walk amongst the northern lights. Rockies and prairies, oceans and lakes, other than winter, all the seasons are great. Brushing off the snow a little longer than we'd like. But you won't hear us complaining, 'cause that just wouldn't be polite. No, man. 'Cause up here in Canada, the air's clear, the weather's adequate, we all cheer. We're pretty passionate, and everybody has a pet polar bear and a moose. Yeah, up here in Canada. Celsius, kilometers, prime ministers and provinces. We maybe say it different, but we always keep our promises. We said we'd win the gold back in 2010, and we did. But because we're so nice, we'll let you win every now and again, but not too much. 'Cause up here in Canada, we like beards. We think they're fabulous. We don't fear if people laugh at us for wearing 6 pairs of long underwear. And 2. Yeah, up here in Canada. Basketball, telephones, wonder balls and hockey. Snowmobiles, ketchup chips, and even walkie-talkies. Peanut butter, garbage bags, the mighty foghorn. Just a few things that you can thank us for. Shatner, Carey, Myers, Gosling, Reynolds, and Reeves. Candy Short, Michael J, and all of Schitt's Creek. Celine, Shania, Adams, Bieber, Bublé, and Drake. We're sorry about Nickelback, yeah, that was a mistake. We're sorry. We're sorry. Yeah, we're sorry, eh? We're so sorry. 'Cause up here in Canada, we like beer and our cannabis. And each year, we all get taxed a bunch, but everybody gets free health care.